Maasrot Perek Gimel Mishnah Hey, fifth Mishnah in the third chapter of Maasrot. So our Mishnah is going to discuss. We've learned before that if you bring produce into the house, into the bayit, it's kovea for maaser. It designates for maaser, and therefore you can't eat achilat arai, temporary eating, without taking off trumot to Maasrot. So the same thing is true for a chatzer. A chatzer, the courtyard is, the Bayit Tanura says explicitly, kovat l'maser k'mo bayit. It is kovea l'maser. But there's all kinds of, and we're going to see in future Mishnah, there's all kinds of houses and there's all kinds of courtyards. So the Mishnah wants to know very simply, Ezo hi chatzer shehi chayavet b'maasrot. What kind of chatzer is chayav b'maasrot? Because as we're going to see, there's joint your courtyards. Let's say if you own an apartment, is it the entranceway to the apartment house? If as we'll soon see. Rabbi Shmuel says, Chatzer atzorit, shakelim nishmarim betocha. The chatzer that was popular in Tyre, okay? Shakelim nishmarim betocha. That people would leave their kelim in Tzor, okay? And there was a shomer al petach chatzer. The Kati quotes the Gemara Bavli, okay? That there was and actually, that's the Bartunura says, Shekain b'tzor shayu moshivin shomer bepetach chatzer. So that's a really, really tightly guarded chatzer. It's a private chatzer in a sense. There's a doorman at the door. So therefore, that's a chatzer tzori, so people would leave their stuff in the chatzer. Rabbi Akiva says, so I would say that's like a South African courtyard. I've never been there, but my friends in South Africa say that if you want to, it's like a gated community in a sense. Rabbi Akiva said, Kol she'echad potech ve'echad noel p'tura. If you have a chatzer where one person, there's more than one house, and one person opens and one person locks it, then it's p'tura. Look at the Bartunura. What does that mean? There's two houses that are open to the chatzer. One opens and one closes. And if one guy locks it, the other guy opens it. It's not guarded, meaning they're not, one guy can keep it open, one guy can keep it closed. It's always fun to have great neighbors like that. And so it's not mishtameret, because even if I lock it, my neighbor could open it. If he locks it, I could open it. That's eina mishtameret. And since it's a chaser she'eina mishtameret, if I bring my produce into that chaser, Rabbi Akiva says you're patur. Rabbi Nechemia Omer, kol she'ein adam bosh mile'echol betocha chayavet. If it's a chaser where a person is not embarrassed to eat in it, chayavet, because then that implies a level of privacy, okay? Because he's not embarrassed because people aren't passing back and forth and seeing what goes on in the chatzer. So it affords a little bit of privacy. I just want to mention, it's very interesting. There are halachot in Shulchan Aruch about eating in public. And the Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to eat when you're standing, you're not allowed to eat in the shuk. So this is the second time in the Mishnayot we've seen where there's a notion of a person eating in public. We see here this idea of a person eating in public, and we also saw with regard to the shuk. Let me find the Mishnah. Yeah, we saw this idea in Perek Bet, Mishnah Bet. Let me just go back to the Mishnah. Here we are. We saw, okay, Balash, if you're in the Yishar or the Chanut, okay, and the guy tells you to eat, so it's achilat arai. Ubal Hashar, Ubal Chanut Chayavim. Okay, they're chayav because it's his house. Rabbi Yehuda poter ad she'yachzir et hanav, or ad she'yashanem makom mishivato. This idea in Rabbi Yehuda, remember we learned that he said you're not chayav until you turn away or you change your sit. You don't sit there. Why? Okay, because the Bartunura said this person is bosh le'echol v'lo chazarat panim. People were embarrassed to eat without chazarat panim, without turning away. There was this idea, clearly this idea in the Mishnah that I wanted to point it out because it seems like it's an interesting trend. That people were adam bosh bilechol betocha. They're back to our Mishnah A. That there was that idea of embarrassment of eating in public. Eating in public was just not something that you did, and it just strikes me that eating was considered a private thing. I've seen the Rav Soloveitchik in his essays that were published after his death. There's a book that he put about the royal table. I think it was that's Rabbi Lamb's book. There was a book of his essays about the Seder, and the first essay is about the notion of eating in general. And the idea of eating and eating that Yahadut tries to elevate eating, and so much about Kedusha of eating. And if you think about this, the Trumot and Maasrot, the whole idea of elevating the food that we have, sanctifying the food through the giving of this food to the Kohanim and Leviim, etc., etc. But now we've seen it twice in the period of in a course of two prakim of Adam Bosh Milecho B'tocha, that people did not eat where other people could see them. They did not eat in public. They ate in private in their homes. They ate in their chatzer if other passerbys couldn't see them. And it's a fascinating commentary about our society where you go to the ballpark and you eat in public. You go to the movie theater, you eat in public. People wouldn't think twice about eating in public and eating while you're standing. And it's a different level of the street food. This whole idea of street food is just a whole different concept of what eating meant and the significance we give to eating. And I'm not sure what commentary I want to make, except that it's something interesting to think about. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Kol shenichlas la ve'en omer ma atam mevakesh. P'tura. If somebody comes in and nobody says, hey, what do you want? What are you doing here? Meaning a person can enter unimpeded, then that's not a chatzer mishnameret, and you're patur. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Shnei chatzerot zu lifnei mizu. If I have two chatzerot, two courtyards, one is an outer courtyard and one is an inner courtyard, okay, hapnimit chayebet v'achitzona p'tura. The inner one is the inner courtyard, you're chayab. But the outer courtyard, you're patur, you're exempt. Okay, and that the inner one is considered the chatzer hamishtameret. The halacha is the kaim alan halacha kedivrei kulan lahachmir. According to, if there's any opinion, if your chatzer fulfills any of these opinions, that it's either mishnameret or people aren't passing by or what have you, then it fulfills the conditions halachically that it's a chatzer that's kovea for Maasrot. Stop here. If you have any comments or questions, as always, email me at arspoter@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha Ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.